ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमु रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। 8 मंत्र, सेकेंड मुंडक, सेकेंड खंड। भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिः भिद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिः छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे। Having attained self-knowledge, what is it that should happen is given in this mantra. 3 results are given. First one is Bhidyate Hridaya Grantihi. The knots of the heart are cut asunder. Second is Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha. All doubts about Jiva Jagat Ishvara, they are removed. And third result is Kshiyante Karmani. The karmas which are responsible for future birth, those karmas are removed. Which is the karma responsible for future birth? Sanchita karma. The actions which have been done in the past, which is stored as our sanchita, well-earned karma, that karma is burnt. That karma is made ineffective. And agami karma, those actions which are done after knowledge, those actions are also nullified. Prarabdha karma, because it has started, it will continue. The 3 results which are mentioned, we should keep reflecting over them so that we know what is the direction in which we should be headed. Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. Knot of the heart is cut asunder, not always as two entities. One rope, second rope, they have not become one. You have tied it in such a way it appears as one. So the first rope is Chaitanya, pure consciousness. Second rope is Jada, inert. Within inert, there is a spectrum. Sense organs are there, organs of action, organs of perception, mind, ego, body. Those two which can never come together, they have come together. Just like light and darkness cannot come together, how can consciousness and inert come together? But still it's happening. So Vidyate Hridaya Granthi means being able to see these two as separate. Consciousness and matter should be seen as two different entities. And if we are following Advaita Vedanta, our conviction is in Advaita Vedanta, then matter doesn't have independent existence. Step number 1 is to separate consciousness and matter. Step number 2 is to understand there is no real entity called as matter. It's consciousness alone which is appearing as matter. This coming together of consciousness and inert matter, Puja Gurudev calls it in Viveka Chudamani as unholy wedlock. Unholy wedlock between spirit and matter. And if you look at it in a way, our entire spiritual quest is to break this knot. Consciousness should be understood as consciousness, and matter should be understood different than consciousness. Different than consciousness meaning consciousness is a substratum, matter is an appearance in consciousness in that way. That's why we had seen there are different types of sadhanas. Parampara sadhana, Bahiranga sadhana, Antaranga sadhana. All of them are slowly loosening this knot so that I can walk towards consciousness. Na virato duscharitat. If our transaction in this world is unethical, duscharita is there, one cannot attain Brahman. So it starts from dharma, starts with yamas, what leads us all the way to Chaitanya and Jada, the knot between these two. Let us see the Bhashya. Asya paramatmajnanasya phalam idam abhidhiyate भिद्यते हृदय ग्रंथि अविद्यावासना प्रचयः बुद्धि आश्रयः कामः कामा ये अस्य हृदि श्रिताः इति श्रुत्यन्तरात् हृदय आश्रयः असौ न आत्माश्रयः भिद्यते भेदं विनाशम् आयाति छिद्यन्ते सर्वे ज्ञेय विषयाः संशयाः लौकिकानाम् आमरणात्तु गंगास्रोतोवत् प्रवृत्ता विच्छेदम् आयान्ति अस्य परमात्म ज्ञानस्य of this self knowledge phalam idam abhidhiyate. Did we go through Bhashya? Whole Bhashya we went through. Okay. Okay, then let us just look at it quickly. Phalamidam abhidhiyate vidyate hridaya granthi. See if something new comes out. Vidyate hridaya granthi means hearts of the knot are cut asunder. Avidya vasana prachaya. Avidya is common to all, but vasana brings distinction in jiva. Means every jiva has this avidya that I am finite, and that ignorance of one's own infinitude, ignorance of one's own nature as pure consciousness is common to all. Bird also has same avidya, person A, person B, person C has the same avidya. But why is person A different from B and C? Because vasana is also there. Avidya vasana prachayah buddhi ashrayah. They live in buddhi, not in atma. Kama ye asya hridishritaha. In other Upanishad it is said, these desires live in heart. Desires live in the mind, not in atma. Hridaya ashraya asau na atma ashrayah. All these desires, they live in buddhi. Vidyate bhedam vinasham ayati. The desires, vasanas, and avidya, they are destroyed for good. Destroyed for good meaning they are negated. They are negated. If you remember in 13th chapter, when we took up the discussion of Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi, Shankaracharya ji emphasized this point. Don't say avidya was there and it came to an end. Means don't make liberation something which happens in time. Because he said there is no example of such a thing, which is beginningless but comes to an end. And don't say moksha has a beginning and it is endless. Because you won't find an example for that also. He said if you look for an example really closely, you will find abhava. Abhava is non-existence. So prag abhava, pradvamsa abhava. They will be example of something which is beginningless but has an end. Prag abhava. Means before the pot was made, it was non-existent. So for how long did this non-existence live? It was beginningless, but the moment pot was made, that non-existence ended. So that example you will have to give for an entity which is beginningless but comes to an end. And an entity which is having a beginning and is endless. Pradvamsa bhava. The pot, once it's broken, it becomes non-existent. So that posterior non-existence which is there has a beginning and it is endless. But if you notice closely, which example are we giving of non-existence? He says non-existence is not even a thing. So don't put moksha in time. Time is a notion in ignorance. Consciousness was untouched by time and space. That is why this line has come. Bhedam vinasham ayati. Vinasham means negation of this is done. Chidyante sarve jnaya vishayaha. Whatever doubts were there about jnaya vishaya, they are removed. What is jnaya vishaya? Jnaya vishaya is Brahma only. And one thing to note here is, we don't get doubts about Brahma. Think of it. Did we start our spiritual journey with quest about what is this world? Who is God? What is the difference between world and God? What is my true nature? What it means here is, having pointed out the truth, one should think, and if there are doubts, they get resolved with this knowledge. These are not worldly doubts. These doubts are about Siddhanta. Does Jiva have Punarjanma or not? After studying Vedanta, this question should not be there. After studying Vedanta, what should be our understanding? Pure consciousness doesn't come and go anywhere. It is a subtle body and physical body. If one identifies with it and has desires and karmas are not burnt, next body is waiting. About Jagat, whether it is permanent or impermanent. Did it get created? Will it get destroyed? All questions about Jagat also should be eliminated. Another question people have about Jagat is, why did God create this in the first place? What is Vedanta's answer? Please don't put the blame on God. Vedanta wants to say there is no Jagat. Because of my ignorance, because of my forgetfulness of the truth, because I have not inquired into substratum, I am seeing superimposed. So the moment clarity comes about substratum, all questions about superimposed should go away. Now, if somebody is not willing to accept this answer, then Vedanta provides an intermediate answer. They say, okay, let us sit down. We will explain how creation started. Step number 1, step number 2, step number 3. Then you feel satisfied. Yes, this is logical. But finally, they will say, see from where it has come. This whole creation has come from Brahman. Any emergence from an unchanging cause. Any emergence from an unchanging cause has to be an appearance. That is how they will take us there. So all questions about world should go away, having understood Brahma. And questions about Ishvara. That where is Bhagwan? Where does he live? What I understood as Paroksha, somebody who is somewhere, that a person understands as Aparoksha. Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupatah. Vision of God is understood as one's own self. Self-discovery is discovering God. So all these things should happen. That is called as Nyeya Vishayaha Samshayaha Chidyante. All doubts are removed. Laukikanam Abaranatu Ganga Srotavat Pravritta. But for an ignorant person, these questions remain lifelong. Just like flow of Gangaji. Effortlessly, like Gangaji flows, without any break, different doubts keep coming to this sadhaka. Meaning one sadhana here is, whenever we get doubts, try to first, as sadhaka, we should first try to shift attention to consciousness and then look at that doubt. From Chaitanya standpoint, what is the status of Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara? This is where Ramana Maharshiji's technique excels. If anybody gets any question, his job was to question the questioner. His guidance to us was question the questioner. What will happen with that? We will shift attention to the truth. Having shifted attention to the truth, again look at the question. Very likely it would have disappeared. For example, Prarabdha Purushartha, if somebody goes with a question to him, his precise question would be, who has Prarabdha, who has Purushartha? What will sadhaka say? I have Prarabdha. I have Purushartha. He says, inquire deeper into this I that I'm talking about. If I'm able to reach Sakshi, sadhaka also will agree. Sakshi doesn't have Prarabdha, Sakshi doesn't have Purushartha. What was his problem? Hridaya Granthi. Consciousness got mixed up with ego, and both together he was calling as I. And Raman Maharshiji, what did he do? Hammered that Granthi. He says, see consciousness as separate and inert matter as separate. Mind is inert, ahankara is also inert. Vichedam ayanti. That is broken for them. Asya vichchina samshayasya nivritta avidyasya yani vijnana utpattehi praktani janmantare cha. In previous life, whatever karmas he has done, vijnana utpattehi prak, before the rise of knowledge, in this life also, whatever actions he has done, all of that is counted as sanchita karma, apravruta phalani. And those actions which are done after rise of knowledge, jnana utpatti sahabhavini, that is called as agami karma. Agami karma. Karmani kshiyante. Both these karmas are destroyed. If karta is destroyed, the ego is falsified, then karma phalas which were supposed to come to this ego, they also need not come. But what happens to prarabdha? It says, natu etat janma arambakani pravritta phalatvat. Prarabdha is like a short arrow which has started giving results in this birth. They will not quieten until they give results. Okay, so until this is one statement. Natu etat janma arambakani pravritta phalatvat. Because they have started giving result, prarabdha karma will not disappear with knowledge. Now, next sentence is beautiful. When will all these results come? These three results, vidyate hridaya grantihi, chidyante sarva samshayaha, kshiyante chasya karmani. The last quarter, tasmin drishte paravare. Now you see this one. Huh? Tasmin, two indicators are given. Sarvajne and asamsarini. Sarvajna title of consciousness, is it with conditioning or without conditioning? With conditioning. With conditioning. If you take it as sarvam cha asau jnascha, that which becomes all and that is which is of the nature of knowledge, still there, all is there. Sarvam is there. So it is pointed out with conditioning. And asamsarini is without conditioning. Asamsarini. You know why these two words are given? To explain para and avara. This mantra says we have to know the truth as unconditioned, and we should also know the truth as conditioned. Meaning what? When we see the conditioning, we should be able to shift attention to that unconditioned truth. Para means unconditioned. Avara means paying attention to the same truth through the lens of conditioning. It is just like if you get gold, the ore form of the gold is very different from ornament. It's all black, very different. If you have seen the raw ore, But the final form as an ornament is nice and shining. If I am familiar only with the ore form or the golden bar form, and if I see ornament, I start searching for gold. That is knowledge of para and not knowledge of avara. Means when that cause transforms into some effects, I fail to recognize the cause. I'm looking at only names and forms. Now you see, Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, he uses 3 words. Ajnanam, Jnanam, Vijnanam. Ajnanam, Jnanam, Vijnanam. Ajnanam is seeing too many things. He says Ajnanam is to know many things. I know this also, I know that also. Because if you know too many things, it is Ajnanam. What is Jnanam? Says Jnanam is to understand only one truth. Jnanam is to understand that one truth, which is the reality. In simple words, he says, God alone is real, everything else is unreal. To have this clarity is Jnanam. And what is Vijnanam? Third one. He says, while seeing the world, to love God. He says that is Vijnanam. While seeing the conditioning, to shift attention to Bhagwan, who is that one reality, in whom this conditioning is appearing. He says that is Vijnanam. So Jnanam is knowledge of Para, that one unconditioned consciousness. And Vijnanam is Avara. While seeing the conditioning, being able to shift attention to the consciousness. One sadhaka told me they had gone with Puja Guruji for a yatra, few years ago. Several years ago, in fact. Guruji had taken them for a yatra. And he gave an exercise to everybody. He said, I'll tell you a few statements. You have to think and come back and tell me. He said, I see this mountain, this scenery. I close my eyes. I open my eyes and see it again. He said, next day, all of you have to come and tell me what you thought about what I said. I see this scenery. I close my eyes. I open and I see it again. And everybody gave different answers. But Guruji quoted that verse from 7th chapter, which talks about Jnanam and Vijnanam. He said, if I just see the scenery, there is nothing, special about it. It is good, it's beautiful. But if you close your eyes and remember God, then again open your eyes and see or remember God through this scenery. That is Vijnanam. So this mantra says, only knowledge of unconditioned truth is not complete knowledge. Along with Parajnanam, we need Avarajnanam also. That is why it says, Karanatmana Param. Paravare description is there, right? So as Karanatma it is Para. Avaramcha Karyatmana. When the truth is looked at from the lens of world, that is called as Avara. Karyatmana tasmin paravare sakshat aham asmiti. That truth alone is me, or I alone am that truth. Drushte samsara karana uchchedat muchyate ityartha. That person is freed from the cycle of transmigration. All these 3 results come true for that person. But we should think about this para and avara. Now, next mantra is again an elaboration of nature of Akshara, which will help us in meditation. हिरण्मये परे कोशे विरजं ब्रह्मनिष्कलम् तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिः तद्यदात्मविदो विदुः हिरण्मये परे कोशे विरजं ब्रह्मनिष्कलं तच्छुभ्रं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिः तद्यदात्मविदो विदुः. Hiranmaye. If you remember in previous verses, 3 steps were given. First, shift attention to physical heart. In that physical heart, recognize buddhi. And through buddhi, recognize witness of thoughts as pure consciousness. Now the sadhaka has become a little advanced. He doesn't need support of physical heart. Directly he can go to buddhi. That's why this mantra starts with Hiranmaye Pare Koshe. Hiranmaye means buddhi. In that intellect. Why is it called as Hiranmaya? Because distinct expression of consciousness happens there. It is also called as Kosha. Hiranmaye Pare Koshe. Kosha means a covering, a sheath. What do they call it for a sword? Scabbard. The sheath of the sword. Another name for Hiranmaya Kosha is Vijnanamaya Kosha. That word we are familiar with. Vijnanamaya Kosha alone is called as Hiranmaya Kosha. See, consciousness is all pervading. But if you want to feel its presence, if you want to shift attention to it, that we can do distinctly in buddhi. Because there is distinct expression of consciousness in buddhi, it is called as Hiranmaya. It is also called as Para. Para means supreme. Upalabdhi sthana. Upalabdhi means it is available distinctly over here. One simple example for this is, let's say there is Prime Minister or President of a country. Now his policies, his power will extend to every part of the country. But if you want to meet the Prime Minister or President, you'll have to go to one place. So DC becomes Kosha. Within that you'll have White House. That is his Kosha. There you have distinct expression. Like that, distinct expression of consciousness is in Hiranmaya Kosha, Buddhi. Hiranmaye Pare Koshe. Another reason why it is called as Para is because it is the closest to the self. Compared to Annamaya, compared to Pranamaya, compared to Manomaya, Vijnanamaya is very close to the self, which can be distinctly recognized. Anandamaya is even closer, but it is difficult to recognize Anandamaya Kosha first. Buddhi is easy. You look at thoughts and through thought, shift attention to witness of thought. Hiranmaye Pare Koshe. Here lives Brahman. That is the address. Saptami Vibhakti is to show location. Like we have our house names, right? Shanti Nivas, Ram Nivas. So Brahma Nivas is Buddhi. That place where Brahman is recognized. What is the nature of Brahman? Virajam Brahma Nishkalam. 3 indicators are given. 3 names are given. Raja means impurity. Viraja means that which is without any impurity. So what can be the impurity in Brahma? Avidya. Ignorance is the impurity, and every other emotion which is born out of this ignorance. Different types of kleshas are there. Ego, pride, pragadvesha, all of them to put together, they are the impurities in Brahma. So Virajam refers to that consciousness which is devoid of avidya and klesha. Because it is like this, the second indicator which is given is Brahma, that Brahman is the word itself, which indicates the truth. Over here, it means it pervades all. Brahma means that which pervades all. Third indicator is it is Nishkalam. Kala means parts. Kala means parts. Like Shodasha Kala Purusha. That Purusha who has 16 parts. So here Nishkalaha means partless, without any parts. So that thing which is partless has to be infinite. Another name of part is Avayava. Avayava. So which is partless will be called as Nir-Avayava. Nir-Avayava. So whenever we sit down at the seat of meditation, when we shift attention to witness of thought, first bring attention to buddhi. And through thought, shift attention to witness of thought. Now, what is the greatness of this witness? Three indicators. It is viraja, devoid of all impurity. It is infinite, it pervades all. And it is nishkala, it is partless. And because it is of this nature, tat shubram, it is pure, without any dosha, without any parts. Means if you want to look at it differently, non-duality itself implies purity. Because other than that entity, there is nothing else. It is not that there is avidya, there is klesha, there are impurities, and somehow or the other we have scrubbed it away from Brahman. And we are keeping it separate. Now we are saying Brahman is pure. Not in that way. Brahman is pure because Brahman is non-dual. Just like the rope was never in contact with illusory snake, Brahman never came in contact with impurity. And in impurity, you can add all conditionings. Even the most exalted conditioning is still a conditioning. It is just like if you want pure water, you might mix the best milk in it. That water mixed with milk will not be pure water. So milk is like conditioning. So how should we understand Brahman? That which is devoid of all conditioning. Tat Shubram Jyotisham Jyotihi. This is a very beautiful word. Light of all lights. What is the meaning of Jyotihi? Jyoti means that which doesn't need another light. That which doesn't need another light to be known, that is called as Jyoti. So lamp is called Jyoti. Why is it called Jyoti? Fit this definition. Lamp doesn't need another lamp to be known. We don't call chair as Jyoti because chair needs light to be known. Sun is called as Jyoti. Why? Sun doesn't need another light to be known. Now, what will be Jyotisham Jyotihi? Light of all lights. Means that light in which all these lights are known. Sun, lamp, ice, every Jyoti is known in the light of that Jyoti. That is why it is called as Jyotisham Jyoti. Means it is true that in the light of sun, we are able to see so many other things. But unless you have light of ice, we cannot see the sun. Sun's existence needs light of the ice to become known. Ice cannot be known unless there is light of mind. And mind cannot be known unless there is light of consciousness. So consciousness is also light, mind is also light, eyes are also light, sun is also light. But which one is absolute light? Pure consciousness. It is that light in which all other lights are illumined. That is why it is called Jyotisham Jyotihi. This is a very powerful indicator to meditate. Shankaracharya has written Eka Shloki. In one verse, he explains entire Vedanta. It's a dialogue between a teacher and a student. Kim Jyotistava Bhanuman Ahanime Ratrau Pradipadikam. He says, Kim Jyotistava, what is your light in which you are knowing things? He says, during the day, it is the sun. Teacher says, okay, during the day, it is the sun with which you know all these things. How about night? Pradipadikam. Student says, at night, lamp is my source of light. Teacher says, okay, in what light are you seeing the sun and the moon? Sun and the lamp. This is light of eyes. Chakshuhu. Then chakshuhu tasya unmilanadi samaye. When you are closing the eyes, when eyes are closed, you are still seeing objects. Means you look at a chair, you close your eyes, you can still see a chair. He says, in what light are you seeing that object? He says, with the light of dhi, with the light of intellect. Then the teacher asks, Kim dhir dhiyor darshane? In what light are you seeing the intellect? Then he says, Tatra aham asmi. I am seeing the intellect in my own light. Then the teacher says, that light you are. You are that light in which intellect, eyes, sun, lamp, every other jyoti is illumined. Eka shloki. Jyotisham jyotihi tadyad atma vido viduhu. This light of all lights, pure consciousness, is not available to everybody. Who knows it? Those who know it are called as Atma Vidaha. But you see the interesting phrase here, huh? Atma Vidaha Viduhu. Those who know the self, they know. Shankaracharya says, what this means is, their nature has become, means doing Brahma Vichara has become their nature. Doing self-enquiry has become their nature. Atma-vidaha means that. Those whose minds are introverted, those who can pay attention to the self. Tadyad atma-vidaha viduhu. Atma anusandhana shilaha. those who are experts in doing Brahma Vichara. If they get some time, their mind quickly goes towards Brahma Vichara. I had read in Swami Shivanandaji's life, whenever there would be sadhana days, there would be seva days. So sadhana days, he is totally retired, not even available for the world. And seva days, he would take 3 bags and go. One bag had medicines, another bag had some basic grains that he would need, and third bag had spiritual books. So when he's giving the medicines, if he gets some time, quickly he would go to his spiritual literature. This is there in that book, Sage is Born, about Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj. Atma Anusandhana Shilaha. Those whose mind goes towards Brahma Vichara, whenever it gets a chance, they'll be able to abide in this truth. Now let us see the Bhashya. Uktasya eva arthasya sankshepa abhidhayakaha uttare mantraha asya api hiranmaye ज्योतिर्मये बुद्धि विज्ञान प्रकाशे परे कोशे कोश इव असेहे आत्मस्वरूप उपलब्धिस्थानत्वात् परम तत् सर्वाभ्यंतरत्वात् तस्मिन् विरजम अविद्या अशेष अविद्यादि अशेष दोष रजोमलवर्जितं ब्रह्म सर्वमहत्वात् सर्वात्मत्वाच्च निष्कलं निर्गताः कलाः यस्मात् तत् निष्कलं निरवयवम् इत्यर्थः. Uktasya eva arthasya. Whatever has been said so far until Vidyate Hridaya Grantihi, of that meaning alone, Sankshepa Abhidhayakaha. To explain in brief, Uttare Mantraha, Trayaha Api. The next 3 mantras, they are being elaborated. Hiranmaye. What is Hiranmaye? Jyotirmaye. That which is full of light. Means if consciousness is illumining there, even the conditioning becomes full of light. Full of light meaning it has the ability to know. This is not that Halloween pumpkin. You have a lamp inside and it becomes full of light. Although that example is given in Dakshinamurti Sutram. Nana Chidra Ghatodara Sthitamaha Deepa Prabhabhaswaram. Jyotirmaye Buddhi Vijnana Prakashe. See how precisely Shankaracharya translates. What is Hiranmaya? Buddhi Vijnana. The ability of the intellect to know. That itself is the light, which gives it the title of Hiranmaya. That is why you can call Hiranmaya as Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya. Pare Koshe. Kosha means like Asa. Kosha iva asehe means the scabbard of the sword. Why is it called as Para? Atma Swarupa Upalabdhi Sthanatvat. Param. Because it is the Upalabdhi Sthana, the address of Brahman. If you want to meet Brahman, find it in the covering of Buddhi. Buddhi Kosha. Upalabdhi sthanatvat param. And second reason why it is called param is sarva abhyantaratvat, because it is the innermost compared to other koshas. Vijnanamaya kosha. Tasmin, in that Vijnanamaya kosha, you recognize Brahman. Now remember this point, and in our mind we should be very clear. What is the substratum in true sense? Buddhi lives in consciousness, or does consciousness live in Buddhi? Buddhi lives in consciousness. Buddhi is an appearance in consciousness. Substratum is always Chaitanya. But what is the difficulty we were having? I am unable to shift attention to consciousness. Then they say, we will show you a door. First come to Buddhi, then recognize consciousness as witness of Buddhi. Then again you go back to the same understanding, that this consciousness is infinite. Don't flip it around and say, Buddhi is the ashraya of Chaitanya. Buddhi is only upalabdhi sthana. It is the place where you can recognize consciousness. Tasmin virajam. What is the meaning of virajam? Avidya ashesha dosha rajomala varjitam. That which is free from avidya, which is the first impurity, and everything else. Ashesha dosha. Ashesha dosha includes all klesha, conflicts which come in our mind. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. 5 kleshas are pointed out. First one is ignorance, avidya. Asmita, possessiveness. Raga, attachment. Dvesha, hatred. And abhinivesha, identifying with something in such a way, whatever happens there, I feel is happening here. So virajam means that which is devoid of all this klesha. Brahma. What is the meaning of Brahma? Sarva mahatvat. That which is infinite. How did it become infinite? Because that alone has become all. Brahman alone has become all. That is why the next word is used. Sarvatmatvacha. Sarvatmatvacha means sarva rupatvat. That Brahman alone appears as all forms. Tacha sarvatmatvacha nishkalam. That Brahman which is indicated by the name Brahma is also indicated by Nishkala. What is Nishkala? Niragataha kalaha yasmat. That from which all kalas have walked out. All parts have been removed. That is called as Nishkala. Tat Nishkalam Niravayavam. Avayava means parts. Nir-avayava means partless. Partless. Ityartha. Yasmat virajam. Therefore it is viraja, that which is nishkala. If an entity is viraja and nishkala, ataha tat shubram. That will be ever pure. That will be ever pure. Shuddham. Shubram means shubram. Shuddham. Jyotisham. Jyotisham means sarva prakashatmanam. We didn't read this bhashya, but it's very simple. You can just look at it. Sarva prakashatmanam. Ajnadinam api. That which illumines all other sources of light, including fire, etc. See, out of the 5 elements, space, air, fire, water, earth, it is only in the light of fire we can know the other 4 elements. Means if it is pitch dark and there is a pond in front, Amavasya day, no stars, clouds are there, and no light. If you come to Krishnalaya, you will have this experience, pitch dark. So whether there is earth or not, how deep is that earth? How deep is that land? Nothing is known. So fire element illumines all other elements. That's why the word is used, Ajnadinam api tajjoti. Consciousness is that which illumines fire also. Fire is known in the light of consciousness. Tajjyotihi avabhasakam. Ajnadinam api jyotishvam antargata brahma atma chaitanya jyotihi nimittah ityartah. It is that consciousness in the light of which all other lights are known. You remember that Ekashloki, huh? Objects need physical light. That physical light needs light of the eye. Light of eye needs light of mind. Light of mind needs light of consciousness. Another way they explain is slightly difficult to understand. What Shankaracharya actually means here is the ability of fire to illumine comes from consciousness. Ability of fire to illumine and remove darkness, he says that comes from Chaitanya. Which one is easier to understand? The sequence of objects leading to consciousness or the second one? Second one needs Vedic thinking. First one is more logical. Tadi Param Jyotihi. That alone is called as Param Jyotihi. This one you carefully split. Tadhi Param Jyotihi Yad Anya Anavabhasyam. Definition of Param Jyotihi is that which doesn't need another light to be known. Anya Anavabhasyam. You can mark this definition also. Yad Anya Anavabhasyam, that is called as Param Jyotihi. So consciousness is that which is self-shining. It doesn't need anything else to become known. Atma Jyotihi Tadyat Atma Vidaha. That alone is called as Atma Jyotihi. That which is known by people, they are called as Atma Vidaha. Atmanam Swam Shabdadi Vishaya Buddhi Pratyaya Sakshinam. Those who know this consciousness as the illuminator of Shabdadi Vishaya. Illuminator of sound, illuminator of objects, and also illuminator of Buddhi Pratyaya. Different thoughts which are coming. Buddhi Pratyaya Sakshinam. Ye Vivekinaha Viduhu Vijananti. Those wise people who know this truth, they are called as Atma Vidaha. Te Atma Vidaha. Tad Viduhu. What is it? Swam means oneself. They know this truth as one's own true nature. Swam Viduhu. They are called as Atma Vidaha. Next line is beautiful. Atma Pratyaya Anusarinaha. Means they are regularly, wholeheartedly engrossed in Brahma Vichara. Atma Pratyaya Anusarinaha. They are very good in paying attention to the truth. What is the opposite? He says those who are Bahya Pratyaya Anusarinaha. Those whose minds are extroverted, they will not know this truth. Yasmat Param Jyotihi Tasmat Te Eva Tadviduhu Na Itare. Because this consciousness is Param Jyotihi, light of all lights, it is the illuminator of Buddhi. Those who are able to pay attention and turn their attention inwards, they'll be able to see the truth. Na itare, not others. Why? Because they are experts, but bahya artha pratyahanusarina. The mind always goes towards some other object. We will notice this if we are able to shift attention to thoughts. At least recognize the presence of thoughts at the exclusion of gross objects. That is also an accomplishment. Because mind will generally think about Vishaya only. To make mind as Vishaya, to make thoughts as Vishaya, that is subtle. And to quieten all the thoughts, shift attention only to illuminator of thoughts. They are called as Atma Vidaha. Okay. The implied sadhana in this verse is you have to constantly keep doing Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Atma Vidaha word means that. Because Upanishad said, Shrunvantopi bahavo yamna vidyo. Even after listening, abidance doesn't happen all of a sudden. That takes its own time. 7th chapter, Bhagavan says, several people try. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. Yatatam api siddhana kaschin mam veti tatvata. Out of several people who are on this path, very few actually come to reach me. Commentators give a long list of reasons why a person might not reach the truth. One of the reasons is he got very comfortable after hearing the truth once. He said, I got it. And his mind went back again into the world. So Atma Pratyanusarana means having known the truth, repeatedly strive to put mind in this truth. Next mantra is very popular mantra, Natatra Suryo Bhati. We will see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.